Not only that, he says that there are 4 degrees of action. Degree number 1, doing nothing. And there's more people like this than you think, in the sense of people that just don't do anything to necessarily push towards success and are just kind of lumps on the log and spend their free time just bullshitting, not going anywhere. The second degree of action is retreaters, people that back away from the opportunity to really push because they're scared of, they have a fear of success or feel a failure or feel fear of failure and a bunch of stuff like that. And then you have the third degree of action, which is people that take normal levels of action. So basically your everyday person in the sense of the middle class and all this, and that they do better than most, but it's also the average, and who really wants to be considered average. And degree of action number 4 is massive action, and you gotta end up being basically uncomparable to any other group by pushing yourself to do more than anyone else. And that if you can be consistent in your efforts and your goals and be more determined than anyone else, and then take as many steps to get you there and work harder and do more than other people, there's no reason for you not to necessarily go above and beyond. So I guess let's get into 10x goals. So the reason he looks at these goals and why they're called 10x gold is, whoa, I really suck at English sometimes, I'm sorry. The reason why he calls them 10x goals is because if there's any goal that you think is reasonable in the sense of what you want to do, make it unreasonable. Take it 10 steps further and make it seem impossible. Because if you're working towards the impossible, or not the impossible, but if you're working towards something that's absolutely outrageous, you're going to get closer no matter what, I guess is a good way to put it. Basically, just like the quote, if you shoot for the moon, even if you miss, you end up amongst the stars. Basically along those lines. Because if it's something along the lines of wealth and you're like, I want to make $100,000 a year, and then you change it to, and you 10x that to $1 million a year. So you push and work towards that $1 million a year goal. And even if you do not hit it, it will put you above that $100,000 easily. So basically, if you work towards a goal 10 times higher than you ever would have originally set, even if you fail, it puts you further than you would have to begin with. And it's basically gives you larger margins for success no matter what. Because he talks about, he's like, how many times do you set goals and then even though you reach them, you feel like you could have done more, or it wasn't necessarily that much of a challenge, or you were disappointed with the results because you felt like you could have got more out of it. And I feel like most of us have in some way or another. We have done that before. I know I've done that before, and it just happens. And you gotta set your goals higher. Not only does he set these goals, he writes these goals down every single day. As soon as he wakes up, he rewrites these goals. So he reaffirms it in his mind. He relooks at these goals. He understands them. He puts them out in front of him. And most of the time, it's not just one goal. It's a big list of goals. And 9 times out of 10, all of these goals in some way or another will help achieve them together. So basically, if you're working towards any one of them, you're kind of working towards all of them at the same time. Because let's say you want to make $1 million and you want to own a business and you want to do this and that, and that's actually kind of low, but let's say you 10x those. If you're working towards either of those, if you're working towards starting your own and having a very successful large company, that's going to push you to making the $10 million or whatever it is. Or if you work towards the $10 million, maybe it'll give you more opportunities to then create a successful business. So basically, most of your goals, you won't even necessarily realize it, or you might, but they will kind of feed off of each other, because if you're trying to push yourself in one category, it's going to basically end up in others at the same time. Because if you try focusing on trying to build all these goals at once, at one point they're going to kind of level themselves out and help everything to get closer to those goals and build off of one another. And it more affirms your sense of want and motivation to keep pushing. And then he also basically takes the evening to look at his goals, kind of reassess to see if this is kind of what he really wants, or to see if he's working towards those goals and if he's doing all this. And it's been proven to show that if you write stuff down, that it does help you in a different way than just saying stuff or looking at stuff. So being able to write this stuff down and see it every day and basically look at it and be like, what can I do to work towards these, is what will eventually get you there.